Unit 7, Estate Duty, Lecture 3, Deductions. Deductions. Under your estate duty framework, to calculate the estate duty payable by a deceased, there are also certain deductions allowed under Section 4 of the Estate Duty Act. What are some of your most common deductions for estate duty? For example, funeral costs, debts due, admin costs, foreign property, public benefit organisation donations, masters and executors fees, Section 4Q deduction, accrual claim and CGT. Here we have your sections 4A to 4D deductions. For funeral costs, it will be any expense that is considered to be fair and reasonable by SARS. 4B, any debts due in South Africa. 4C, admin expenses. A master's fee deductible up to a maximum of R7,000. And executors remuneration. The flat rate is 3.5% excluding VAT. If the executor is a VAT vendor, it will be inclusive of VAT. Section 4E, deduction of foreign property, will be the value of foreign property acquired by the deceased before they became resident of SA for the first time, or after they became resident, either by donation or inheritance from a person not resident in South Africa. Section 4F, deduction for any foreign debts. Any donation to a public benefit organisation is deductible under Section 4H. Any property improvements is also deductible under Section 4I. Important to note, it's not the actual cost that is deductible, but the amount by which the value of a property is enhanced at the date of death. Section 4IA, any accrual claim against the estate under Section 3 of the Matrimonial Property Act is deductible. Section 4Q, this is a very important deduction in terms of estate duty. This is a deduction for any property that accrues to the surviving spouse upon death. This will be fully deductible for estate duty. Continuing with Section 4Q, if it's a bequest in terms of a deceased estate, that the residue should also be donated to the surviving spouse. The residue of the estate is calculated by taking the total value of the estate, less life insurance and lump sums not payable to the estate, less any legacies, and less all liabilities and admin expenses. This will give you the residue of the estate. What is left after all of the donations and liabilities have been covered. Executors fees. This is a fee payable to the executor, or otherwise known as the person winding up the estate. Currently the flat rate is 3.5% excluding VAT. Inclusive of VAT, it will be 4.025%. And in here we just have a list of what items are subject or not subject to executors fees. If we have a look at this practical example, in Sam's estate, his total asset is subject to executors fees. A life policy with the estate as a beneficiary also subject to executors fees. If a life policy is payable to a third party, that policy is not subject to executors fees. And also a life policy to the son as a beneficiary, this is a third party, so not subject to executors fees. And then if we tell you the executor is a VAT vendor, the rate will be inclusive of that. If the deceased was married in community of property, there will be executors fees payable on the joint estate, as well as separate executors fees on any excluded assets from the joint estate. For the deduction on the joint estate, only half of the executors fees is allowed as a deduction, because each spouse owns 50% of that joint estate. Here we have a practical example of married in community of property. So the joint estate value is 10 million rand. executives fees is charged on that inclusive of VAT, but only 50% will be allowed as a deduction. When for the holiday house of 2 million rand, this was excluded from a joint estate, so that is subject to normal executives fees. Upon death, every individual is allowed the Section 4A rebate, which is currently a value of 3.5 million rand. If an individual died on or after 1 March 2006, they are entitled to an abatement of 3.5 million rand. If you look at an example of a portable amount, if a husband passed away in August 2010, he only utilized 500,000 rand of his 3.5 million rand abatement. There's still a remaining balance of 3 million rand. If a wife passes away in July 2012, she is entitled to a total rebate of her current 3.5 million rand plus a balance from her husband. So in total she will have 6.5 million rand.